Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a lovely day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your comments, and thank you for your thumbs up. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. So I want to talk about why Sherrone Moore, the Trinidadian immigrant who was the head coach at the University of Michigan until a few days ago, I want to talk about why I think he really got fired, the truth of why he got fired, because I think there are a couple of missing elements to why he got fired. Yes, on the surface, he got fired because he violated the school rules of having an affair with a staff member. That's the surface part of it. But there's something deeper going on with this guy and with black men like him, because he's not the first one. He won't be the last. But this is what is going on from my point of view. White men know that they cannot trust black men in white spaces. And they know black men are always dying to get to those spaces. They will cross hell on a spider's web trying to get to a space where white people are operating. And this is where the strategy of white people playing the long game with black men comes in. So the University of Michigan is a sports and athletic powerhouse. Not only is it an athletic powerhouse, it's also an academic powerhouse. So the University of Michigan has it all. Now, sports is a big deal. College sports is a big deal in America. It's really a big deal. And the University of Michigan, again, is at the top of the game. So they know that they need black athletes in those programs because they are the best players. Their bodies hold up the best and they're the strongest. So they need a certain number of black players on those football teams. So that's a given. Now, when Sherrone Moore, they knew they were going to fire Sherrone Moore last year. They knew they were going to fire that man because he's only had the job since last year because the coach from last year left and went to the NFL to become a professional football coach. So this guy was like the next man in line. Now, when the black man is the next man in line and they don't give him the job, what do we hear? Racism. It's racist. They discriminated against him. So they don't want to go through that. They don't want to go through that. So what they do is they pick a guy like this. They already know what his weakness is. They already know what his weakness is. Matter of fact, people have been saying that his reputation was all over Ann Arbor. So they knew what he was all about. So they made the calculation that we're going to give this guy this job and we're going to recruit these players, these black players in for the 2025-2026 season. And then we're going to pull the trigger on him because they already knew what he was doing. But they needed to get that next team in for this school year, for this recruiting season. So they got the new recruiting season in. Actually, it's the recruiting season, I think, for 26, 27. So they keep building on their team and they want to get those top recruits because they don't want it to be said that the University of Michigan discriminated against a black coach who was up next for the job. So now the players are going to go play for Dion at Colorado. They don't want that. So they gave him the job and they let him keep that job for, I think this is his second season, and he hasn't even finished out this season and he's already fired. So they were going to do that. They were always going to fire him, but they were going to do it in such a strategic way that it didn't look like they were discriminating against him and they wouldn't lose those top recruits for the football team. That's it in a nutshell. They decided they're going to give him the job because he's the next guy up. He was the assistant, and they apparently he was a good coach. And they gave him the job, and he finished out last year. And I think they won. They beat Ohio State. I think they were number one because it's a good team, and he's got other good coaches around him. So they decided they were going to give him that job and let him fire himself. And that is exactly what happened. And I don't even blame the white people. I applaud them for being so clever. People say, well, the white people just want to win. Yeah, they do want to win, but they want to win the way they want to win. They don't want to win with you at the helm. So the white people down here in the South have said they do not want a black coach with a white wife to be the face of a college football program. Now, they've already said that in the South. So they don't even interview these black guys in the South because they've told the truth about it. And they know they're going to crash and burn. You put him in a top position, throw some weed or some wine and a white woman at him, and he will ruin the whole damn program. Now, they already know that about black men, the type of black men that they're going to have in those programs. And they've decided these are the kind of black men we're going to have in the positions as the assistant coaches, the offensive lineman coach or the defensive lineman coach or whatever the specialty is. And there's always a black guy in line for it. So they pull in guys like this because they know they're weak and they know they can use them for a season. We're going to let him have this for a season, and then they can't say we didn't give him the job. We gave him the job, we gave him a chance, and he blew it because of his behavior. But just remember, if it was a strong black coach that, had the discipline to go in there and do a good job, he never would have got the job in the first place, because the goal is not to get a good black coach and keep him there for 15 or 20 years. The goal is to get a black coach and keep him there for a year and a half or 2 years, and then get rid of him and bring the white coach in that they're going to keep for the next 15 or 20 years. That's the strategy that they use on black men, and it works every time. It works every time. Michigan State had one last year, got caught up in the same kind of stuff, and they fired him. And then the University of Michigan, I just learned this one today, they had a provost, something like a vice president that was black who got caught up in the same thing, and they fired him. But they get these guys that they know are weak, that they know they're weak for these white women, and they get in a position where they think they got a little bit of power, and they think they can, they think they're safely in the system, that they can do anything they want to do, and all they want to do is lay over white women. And they don't think they're going to get caught. They don't realize that they're being watched every minute of the day. I like to think that there are black men that would not get caught up in that kind of thing, that they would have the discipline not to get caught up in that. I actually know some black men in college administration and in coaching who keep their jobs forever. They're married to black women, though, and they don't aspire to the top level all the time. Sometimes they're just assistant coaches. Sometimes they're provosts. I know one or two that are provosts, and they're married to black women, and they have kept their jobs for a long time. But you have to be very disciplined. And I do like to think there are some who would have the discipline not to, but I really wouldn't put any money on it. But they pick the ones that they know are weak enough that they can use a white woman to take him out of that job when they get ready to fire him. But they gave him the job and they gave him a chance, so they don't look like they are being racist. They don't look like they discriminated against him because they gave him a chance. He did that himself. White people are not responsible for him having an affair, and not only that, doing other stuff, texting and DMing OnlyFans models, and, just doing the thing. So that's why I think he got fired. I don't think they had any intention of keeping him there in the first place. I don't think they wanted him to be their coach, but they also didn't want to be labeled racist or discriminating against a black coach. So y'all let me know what you think about this. Am I off base? I really don't think so, because this happens too often to black men for it not to be a plan. So you know how some of these black men are, they want to run up into these white spaces. They want the white man's woman. They want the white man's children. They want the white man's job. They want the white man's fame. And it's still not enough. They still mess it up. But white people know how to play these black men, though. I'll give them credit for that. They know how to play. But anyway, y'all, let me know what y'all think about my theory. Do you think I'm right? Let me know. All right. Have a good evening.